These are the latter days.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming.
Each of you bring your right arm to the square. Each of you bow your head and say yes.
Travis Wynn goes on. In my dreams this morning, I was involved in rescue and evacuation operations, trying to get people onto school buses and get them out of the flooded area that was coming in, and I was unsuccessful. Nobody was saved. Everybody drowned and died. And then my mind reset the dream and played it over again. And same thing. Everybody died. And then the third time, reset. And this time, I wasn't able to get anybody on the first two buses, and then the floodwaters, I formed a whirlpool, and it was heading right for me until right before me the ground collapsed into a sinkhole as the whirlpool fell into it. And so then I was able to get onto the smaller third bus, but there was only one seat in the bus. I was the only one that was saved. And then I was made aware in my dream that the three buses had a different letter on them. First one had a P on it, the second one had a T on it, and the third one had an A on it. PTA, Parent Teacher Association. School bus, PTA. The saving of families, and nobody would be saved. Everybody died. So isn't that fun? This is what I'm going through with my video channel here. I'm trying to save lives of anybody who would listen and believe, and therefore do the research and learn how to learn. I'm not telling you to follow me and drink, Koolaid. That's what the church is doing, and Mormons love to twist it around, unaware of what a true prophet is, because they've been lied to and deceived by false prophets, seers, revelators, and they don't even claim translator, and you still don't have a clue? So the Book of Mormon is very plain and precious. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2, it tells you how to interpret the whole Book of Mormon. Learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. And so this is not supposed to be a Christian religion with the Christian Jesus Christ. Too many Mormons are just illiterate in their brainwashing by the church. They are incapable of acknowledging and therefore studying what the learning of the Jews is and applying that to the Book of Mormon and to Joseph Smith. And it's confusing, as Brigham Young had done damage to Joseph Smith's scriptures as well as to the Book of Mormon. Not too much to the Book of Mormon. It was the Doctrine and Covenants that Brigham Young had drastically altered and put in forged documents to deceive Mormons with. And yet they are easy to spot if you knew your Book of Mormon. The forgeries go contrary to the Book of Mormon. And so when you come across a Doctrine and Covenants passage that violates the Book of Mormon, you know it's not true. For example, section 115, the name of the church? Are you sure? Because no, it's not. Even the Book of Mormon explains what the actual name of the church is supposed to be. But Joseph Smith makes it very clear to help you out in his 1838 vision. Evil disposed and designing persons militating against Joseph and his church. Yeah, that was Brigham Young and his missionary Danites. The name of the church that Joseph put was the Church of the Latter-day Saints. It was not the Church of Jesus Christ. That was the evil disposed and designing persons militating against Joseph Smith and his church. They were lying to converts about the name. Now, if you're a Mormon and this upsets you, then you are supporting a terrorist organization. Because what do you think it means if the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews, which means it's the Jewish religion about the Jewish Christ in the future for Mormons, as Joseph Smith makes it very clear for us? It means that Jesus Christ is a fraud, a false Christ. There will be no second coming. These prophets lead you to believe they talk with Jesus. But it's blatantly obvious that if Jesus is not true, the prophets are lying about Jesus, purposely deceiving you. And so the tithing, yeah, they're stealing your money. And what about the second coming? What have they been telling us is going to happen? Because it's not going to happen. You know, Nelson came out and said, these are the latter days. How many centuries are we going to have to wait for the latter days? We've already waited 200 years for the latter days, and now Nelson has said the latter days are here. And so how long are the latter days supposed to last? You know, McKay in the Church News that I did says it's an ever-changing, that's what a continual restoration means. Gospel. Really? The gospel keeps changing? That's strange. I thought there's only one gospel. So that's been a big debate in the church as to whether the gospel has been restored or if it's a continual restoration of the gospel versus the church being restored and the continual restoration of the church. The prophets refused to set down the standards, even though Holland in his musket shooting of human beings talk said that the prophets are the ones who make these official gospel standards and values, and yet they won't do it. Purposely cause confusion, and a house divided cannot stand. They're purposely destroying their own church. They know And yet, that's what they're doing. And so, this is what they say is going to happen with Jesus when he comes. For the Mormon church, it's different than Christianity and different from the scriptures. But there's 3 comings of Jesus. Adam on Diamond, suddenly to his temple, and then Israel. And that's not quite accurate, but that's the way the prophets have led you to believe. And so, Adam on Diamond, there will be a transfer of authority. Page 291. It's under by voice of the priesthood on page 290. There will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor, Lucifer. And he's talking about government here. Assume the reins of government. So Lucifer has the authority of government. That's what they're saying. And Lucifer will appear at Adam on Diamond and will be transferring the authority of government to Jesus Christ, the rightful king. And it says down here in the bottom, as there was another Mormon who I saw the captions concerning this. He doesn't know about this, apparently. He thinks that Mormons will know about it. Oops. When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory. That's the final one in Jerusalem. And now there are some Mormons who believe there's 4. Adam on Diamond, suddenly to his temple, Israel, and then to the whole world after Israel. Depends on the Mormon. They all create their own scenarios. And he throws in that it was Joseph Smith who said it, which was not. It was a Danite forged document from section 116. Forged document. Newell K. Whitney was the one who had his home there by what was called by the Danites Adam on Diamond. And it was there that the Danites had gathered to cause the Mormon War, as it's been called. It's the Danite War. They tampered and decertified the election results there in Davies County, and then that started the Civil War against the Mormons, who were set up by the Danites. And that got Joseph Smith locked up because of the threats to the judge and sheriff to say that it was Joseph Smith who was telling them to do this. As Joseph Smith, in the Joseph Smith papers, is vindicated. He was clear out in far west Missouri. He was too far away to get to that. And that's what the Danites then went and did after Joseph Smith got arrested in Liberty Jail, is the Danites went around and said, Joseph Smith is the leader of the Danites. You have to join us or we're going to murder you. And chased out many leaders of the priesthood quorums, Thomas B. Marsh, David Whitmer. And they said that the name of the church that Joseph Smith had was now being changed by Joseph Smith to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Right after Joseph Smith did his 1838 version. And so in the Joseph Smith papers, it's confirmed who these Danites were that Joseph Smith is talking about, Willard Richards. member of the 12 apostles of Brigham Young, who rose to power and took over the church. He cooed it. It's real simple, easy to assemble together when you know the facts. But Mormons who do their study, even critics who do their study, will not assemble the facts together. They have their preconceived conclusions, whether it's faith promoting or doubt promoting, and what doesn't fit into their conclusion is dismissed. You can't do that. You have to explain what doesn't work for your conclusion, which means you have to let the evidence lead to the facts. The premises must lead to the conclusion. You cannot manipulate the premises. So that's a struggle that people have because we're just not taught in the United States of America. I had to be taught in Canada. Oh, Canada, eh? And so, yeah, Jesus is not going to be given the keys of government. This was not Joseph's plan. Joseph's plan was not to coup the government in the latter days, to get the kingdom back. Joseph made it very clear that because of wickedness, the world would destroy each other and governments would collapse. And so there needed to be a place of safety, peace, and refuge for the saints of the Most High. But if Mormons believe that Jesus is the Christ and he's coming to murder everybody and overthrow the governments and coup them and take over as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Mormons don't have to do anything. They just sit back, wait for it to happen, to be compelled in all things. And so Mormons will not be looking for their Christ. They're waiting for him, but they're not looking for him because they have no clue that he's a mortal human being that was born and raised in the covenant of the great and abominable church of Brigham Young. Just like they were. That concept of a Christ is blasphemy and heresy, not just the Christians who pulled the same stunt that Brigham Young did to Joseph Smith, but instead to the Jews. The Bible does not belong to the Christians. The Bible is not talking about Jesus, the Christian Christ. I had a dumbass who thought he would Bible-splain to me, who said that Jesus was a Nazarite, not a Christian. You're still wrong. You're still pulling a Constantine, just like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is doing. Just because you change the nature and character of Jesus doesn't mean that yours is now finally true. Because you're still branching off from Constantine. That first creed of Constantine, which I refer Mormons and critics to the verse 19 of the Joseph Smith history, established Christianity. It never existed before, it all of a sudden began. All of those bishops who were forced to attend had to give up their religious beliefs. They all had different religious beliefs. They were all involved in excommunicating others who didn't agree with them. They were not the same. They did not have the same text of Scripture. They all had their own, and then they interpreted it differently from the original Jewish author who wrote it. But nonetheless, they had to give it all up. And then it was decided that the name of the Christ would be Jesus. There were many other names to choose from. Lots of Jewish names. They chose Jesus, not Emmanuel. And then, because they all had a different Christ, different religion, they would not give up the nature and character of their Christ. They all had a different one. So they could not come to an agreement. This is when Constantine got fed up with them and created a brand new word. And because it's a brand new created word to describe the nature and character of the brand new created Jesus for the brand new created Christian church, it means not real. And so that's what they say. It's not real. Homoousion. And yet, Christians still to this day claim that this nature and character is true as not real, and that man cannot comprehend that they can't comprehend that it's not real. And so if the Church of Jesus Christ is going to say, well, no, the nature and character that Constantine created is wrong, it's non-Trinitarian, you're still creating a new Christ. You're just changing the nature and character. You're still saying that Christianity of Constantine is true. You're still saying that the name Jesus is true. It's just that the nature and character is wrong. You need to change it. Whether it's to non-Trinitarian or to a Nazarite. You are disregarding the Jews and the Jewish authors and the Jewish religion and the Jewish interpretation of their prophetic scripture, revealing the dates of the latter days. And so because of this blindness that you yourselves put on yourselves, and the prophets put on you, you do not see the prophetic warnings in the Book of Mormon, let alone the Bible and the Doctrine and Covenants. Critics just automatically conclude the Book of Mormon is a forgery, plagiarizing the Bible, not understanding why those particular Bible passages were put in. They don't understand why the late war was put in. They don't understand why over 36 different contemporary books were put in. They don't understand why Sidney Rigdon could be the major author versus Joseph Smith and his rocks in a hat. They don't understand that Joseph Smith Sr. had to rewrite the 116 pages while Joseph was in timeout for a whole year. Yeah, Bruce R. McConkie made a boo-boo on purpose for Section 10's date. It's 1829, not 1828. So, yeah, this whole church are the Danites who caused that war in 1838. And so in 2020's election, the descendants of those Danites were involved in America's exact same pattern match to that Missouri thing. And Mormons are mad at me? Yeah, because I exposed you. Because you have to acknowledge that you're either illiterate, having been brainwashed by the church, or you are knowingly a Danite. and are purposely in denial of the truth, lying and deceiving mankind, and hurting anyone who dares to molest or make afraid the Church of Jesus Christ. We are told about their plot for the latter days to destroy the governments of the world, not just America, so that the church can get their kingdom back. This church is the great terrorist threat. And you can't just have your conclusions of faith promotion or doubt promotion and disregard certain key evidence of facts so that your conclusion can remain pure. Your conclusion is automatically false and corrupted. But yet, nonetheless, I still have to keep dealing with people after people telling me I'm wrong, telling me what I'm supposed to believe, and if I don't, I'm going to be hurt. Telling me I'm stupid, telling me I'm ugly, telling me I'm a loser. 3 death threats on Sunday. And Mormons don't understand of the danger that they are in. And I get Mormons who step up and say, hey, sacrifices have to be made. Really? You're sacrificing yourself for Lucifer, are you? I've even been called a devil worshiper, follower of Lucifer. Just because I do not fit into your faith promotion or your doubt promotion. And you're clueless that such a faith promotion and doubt promotion is a fallacy argument and needs to be dismissed. You think it's all cool to use logic and science on the other side, but you won't use it on yourself. So, this is the way it is. And apparently I'm the only one going to be saved. And the driver even had to step out. I was all alone in the little bus with the one seat.